They said you were the best in the parsec.
Welcome to Parsec Passion, a podcast about Disney Plus's Star Wars The Mandalorian. Today we're talking Chapter 8, the final chapter of Season 1, Redemption. Somebody who needs some redemption is with me as always. Somebody whose astute panic suggests that he understands his situation. It's Catfish. Catfish, we've wrapped up Season 1. How you doing?
Oh my goodness, I am doing great. Look, quick question about the episode title.
Yeah?
Do you think they knew that ahead of time because of the movie, the episode 9, that Star Wars would indeed require some redemption?
Great question that we won't answer on this podcast. We've got so much to cover that we're going to push the Rise of Skywalker later on down the line somewhere, because this could be a jam-packed episode of the podcast because we've got to talk about this wrap-up to Season 1 Redemption. So, Catfish, let's get right to it. Okay. What is your rating out of 10 for Chapter 8 Redemption?
Well, I am going to give it 9.5. What we all know is double M's.
Double M?
Yeah, Moff Mysteries.
Ooh.
Because to me, it is still a mystery, and maybe I'm just slow, and you'll explain it to me, and my rating system will be garbage, why Moff wanted to keep them alive. At one point, the Mandalorian assumes that he doesn't have the child, which is why he's kept them alive. As far as Moff knows, he does have the child. There seems to be a reason why he wants to keep them alive, and I don't know what it is. Bubba, did I miss something?
Maybe Moff missed the thread. Maybe he was so busy killing people who interrupted him, like I do when you interrupt me in the podcast, that he didn't realize they had the child, which doesn't seem to make sense, but sure, why not?
I don't know. He seemed to be interested in those people particularly. You know, you can't take Moff anywhere. You start telling him about you went to a restaurant, and he says, yeah, I went to that restaurant, and you know who I saw there? He is a name dropper supreme, Moff.
If he's outside the window of your house right now, Catfish, he's saying, Catfish of North Hollywood, who always loves some jambalaya.
He's like, Bubba, I know why you can't have DirecTV. It's the neighbor's trees. All right, so that's what I gave it, 9.5 double M's. Moff Mysteries. I don't think Moff is dumb. I think there was a reason why, and I'm going to assume, since I trust in this show, that there's a reason why it's still a mystery, that he wanted to keep them alive, and that he knew that they had the child. So, but Bubba, who cares about that? No one cares about Moff's mystery. They care about what your ranking is. What about your ranking?
Well, Catfish, this was a tough episode for me.
Was
this is
it?
the
Why was
last
that?
episode of The Mandalorian for 11 months. I saw it and I thought to myself, welcome to a night of 1,000 tears.
Oh no! Well, maybe just 360 nights of tears.
That's exactly right. I was not as high on the episode as you. In fact, there were times when my rating jumped down to a 7.
No.
But in the end, I settled for 8, what I like to call double G's out of 10.
Oh, double G. Wait. Is it the double G? I'm thinking, which double G is it?
The one we've been talking about all season long, Good Grief. Now, let me explain this a bit further. During all the action scenes, I was like, ooh, that's fun. That's new. Yeah, hell yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But during some of the talking scenes, I want to say most of the talking scenes, I was a bit like, boy, this is staged kind of flatly. This is telling us information we already knew. We already knew that Mando wasn't from Mandalore. But what saved it? Greef. Greef has gone. Greef has realized that we lost the client, and he said to himself, how can I possibly make this better? The client, he's sleeping. I mean, Greef, I have to just get to it right now. My Mandalicious line of the episode.
Oh, to tell me there were so many good ones.
My Mandalicious is also my good Greef. When Greef sees the TIE fighter coming at him, and he gives the classic, "Let the baby do the magic hand thing. Come on, baby, do the magic hand thing. I'm out of ideas." Is that not gold? Is that not why we keep Greef around? Hell yeah.
I mean, it was the smartest thing. There are plenty of times when I thought, why isn't the baby doing the magic hand thing? And then there are other times when the baby just does the magic hand thing. But the best part about that was, I mean, Greef was good. But then Twoda does do the magic hand thing without magic.
Well, 50%. There is no try, Twoda. Do or do not. So 8 out of 10, you were high on this episode. Mm-hmm. Listeners, we always say we're part of Double P Media. You've been so kind to give us written reviews on iTunes and Stitcher and Podomatic and Podbean and all the different sites. We're going to be reading some of your reviews in a bit and giving away a special Mandalorian prize to one of you guys when we draw your name out of a bowl. Catfish, it is going to be a long time before we see The Mandalorian Season 2. Jon Favreau, the creator and the person who wrote most of these scripts, put out a tweet today. He said Season 2 of The Mandalorian is coming in fall 2012. And the image he had with it was a statue of a Gamorrean, which is, you watch Return of the Jedi, that's the green pig guards at Jabba's palace, some of whom Luke Skywalker choked to sleep. Ooh, dark side Luke. So, we got to wait a long time, but Catfish, we also, to make up for this long wait we're going to have, we lined up a special interview.
Well, that's the thing, Bubba, is that, you said we're going to give out gifts to a few of our listeners, but really, we have a gift for all of our listeners today. Yeah. And that is, we have an interview with the client.
He's alive?
AKA Werner Herzog. He's still alive. You can't kill him. And I have to say, Bubba, in doing this podcasting, we have tried to get interviews with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
We've tried to go through all their, their connections, their agents, their managers, their publicity department.
Of course.
And we have had a dickens of a time getting people to come to us. But I have to say, the client contacted me personally.
You?
Yeah. He was a little upset because he thought to himself, why is Paul getting all this airtime when I want to talk?
Oh, man.
So basically, I mean, we're going to get into a lot of stuff, but, he was a little bitter, but hopefully he's happier now that we're giving him a chance to speak.
If he gets angry and it starts attacking us during the interview, Catfish, let's pretend that he has a call, and then he'll go away and we'll be safe.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So that interview coming up, we're going to talk about the episode, break it down so much, as well as go over your feedback. But right here at the top, let's read these great new iTunes reviews we got from some of our Double L's.
Double L's?
Loyal listeners. Woo-hoo.
Oh, right. Yeah. All right, the first one is from Yup Okay. Yup Okay. Title of it is Mando. Fandos, 5 stars. Says these guys are the best, funny, and insightful.
Ooh, thank you so much, Yup Okay. You're Yup Okay with me?
You're excellent for me. Bob Shimoto says, title, The Best Mandalorian Podcast. These two are simply the best Mandalorian podcast provider. They dig deep into the analysis and are quite funny. This is a double M.
Double M?
Yeah, Mandalorian masterpiece.
Ooh, I thought it was a Moff missing something.
Yeah, well, you know what? That review was so good, I'm not even going to tell you how many stars it was.
It was 5 stars. Thank you so much, Bob.
Oh, you ruined the surprise.
Oh, sorry. All right, so we are going to purchase a Mandalorian something or another. If you follow us on Twitter at DoublePHQ, you saw that I tweeted out a Christmas photo of
hilarious.
Nephew
I loved
Paul
it.
wearing a Boomer OK Baby Yoda t-shirt. Maybe that's what we'll give out. We haven't bought it yet, but we're going to send you something if we draw your name right now from the bowl. What should we get him, Catfish?
I mean, it seems like there's 2 choices right now. There is some sort of t-shirt, or there are people on Etsy who are doing some really cool things, but those are a little pricey.
All right, so a t-shirt it will be.
Yes, a t-shirt is coming.
Okay, we printed out everybody's name who was once again kind enough to leave us a written review that we found. If somehow you left us a written review that we haven't read here on the podcast, shoot us an email and we'll enter you in the drawing for next year's contest, I promise. But for right now, here, and I will tweet out a picture of the prize bowl. And we just have your name, though. So to receive your prize, you're going to have to DM us at DoublePHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/DoublePHQ, and tell us where you want your prize sent to. And the winner, I will pull it out. It's this one right here on my fingertip. It is. Oh, my God. Look who it is. The winner is Grumpy Gobert. Go Bear. Grumpy Gobert. DM us and tell us where to send this prize.
First of all, I can't believe it. That's amazing. We not only have double L's.
Double L's?
Yeah, loyal listeners. Oh. But we also have double L's.
Double what?
Yeah, lucky listeners.
Oh, okay. Very lucky.
Yeah. We got a nice gift to be determined, but it's for sure going to be the breakout star of 2019, which is Baby Yoda.
Heck yeah, I completely agree. I thought for a minute you were saying we were lucky to have listeners, which is also true.
Yes, there's double L's all over the place.
Catfish, now it's time. Let's dive into this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready? And we don't normally start at the end, but I want to start at the end. What was your thought when you saw Moff Gideon climb out of his destroyed TIE fighter, or I should say cut his way out of his destroyed TIE fighter with the dark saber? What did you think?
Well, sadly, it doesn't get any extra points from me. As it was spinning away, I thought of Darth Vader spinning away.
Oh, yeah.
I knew for sure that he wasn't dead. Part of the reason is because, of course, they have Giancarlo Esposito. They're not going to let Giancarlo Esposito do this little, although they have had very famous people do even less, and we'll talk about that later when we circle back to the beginning. I knew that he was going to be alive. In fact, while Gina Carano and our boy Greef were talking about, this planet's safe now, I was thinking to myself, safe? Moff is still out there. It is not going to be safe here one bit.
Heck no. Why didn't they leave? She doesn't even own a ship. She came on Mando's ship.
I would have to imagine for maybe 3% of the people watching this show were surprised that Moff was alive. So, I mean, you don't... Not to mention the fact that, according to me, until someone can explain it to me, and it's probably going to be Patman23, he explains a lot to me, and I thank him for that. Not just about shows, but life things. Like I ask him where I left something, and he tweets back at me, you left it there, even though he doesn't live anywhere near me. And he's always right. Oh. So maybe he's going to explain to me why Moff wanted them. So I feel like Moff has to still be alive because there's that mystery. But there is no shot that Moff was dead.
No, there wasn't any shot. You don't hire Giancarlo Esposito just for a flyby, literally. So you knew he was alive, but for me, I let out a big wow when I saw the darksaber. Now, I've had listeners, I've had friends. My sister was like, yeah, so what's the deal with that thing he had at the end, that lightsaber-like thing he had at the end? Listeners, I'm going to go through this. It is a long, convoluted story, but I want to get us all on the same page. The history of the darksaber.
Let's do it.
Legend tells that it was created over 1,000 years ago by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. After his passing, the Jedi kept the saber in their temple. That was until members of House Vizsla of Mandalore snuck in and liberated it. They ruled all of Mandalore wielding this blade. This saber is an important symbol to the house, and it's respected by other Mandalorian clans. The dark saber was passed down from generation to generation for members of House Vizsla. So if you watched Game of Thrones, this is the equivalent of their family Valyrian swords getting passed down. So okay, let's follow the sword after now it's been reclaimed by House Vizsla. Sometime before the Phantom Menace in this timeline, a violent civil war broke out on Mandalore. Most of the population died. I mean, it was a very bloody, brutal war. Dismayed by the death and destruction, the victorious side, which was the new Mandalorians, they developed a pacifist position. They said, okay, we won. You know what? We got to lay down our warrior roots and we got to become pacifists. We can't have this happen to our society ever again. Of course, the losers in that battle didn't like that idea of suddenly becoming pacifist. And even though they were exiled, these people swore they would return. And they began calling themselves the Death Watch.
You're not hiding your intention when you call yourselves the Death Watch.
No, not at all. So now, okay, that was before the Phantom Menace. Now we go to in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So the Clone War period. The pacifist new Mandalorians have decided to remain neutral in the war. They're not going with the Republic. They're not going with the Separatists. They're like, we're pacifists, you guys do it. So, of course, they didn't have any allies. And what does that mean? Death Watch is like, oh, this is a perfect time to strike back. At that time, the Darksaber was in possession of Pre Vizsla, who was a character voiced by Jon Favreau, who was the leader of this group, the Death Watch. First, Death Watch partnered with Dooku and the Separatist droid army. But of course, you have two powerful people like that, they begin to argue and fight. And so Death Watch and Vizsla ended up splitting with the Separatists and fighting and attacking those droids. Later, Pre Vizsla joined with Darth Maul, who in the cartoons was still alive, even though we saw him get cut in half in the Phantom Menace. So Pre Vizsla and Death Watch, they joined with Darth Maul, who helps them get in with the crime syndicate Black Sun and the spice stealers, the Pike Syndicate, which you saw Pikes in Solo. They ran the Kessel Mines. Anyway, so this group of evildoers, these bad guys, they invade Mandalore and they take over and they win. Naturally, what happens? So, okay, we've thrown out the new Mandalorians, the pacifists. Death Watch, we're in charge. What does Darth Maul do? He stages a coup, kills Pre Vizsla, took the Darksaber on his own, and he became the ruler of Mandalore. To regain control of their planet, the new Mandalorians pledged to join the Republic in their fight against Count Dooku. So the Republic comes in and helps them take their planet back. Darth Maul flees. Long story short, on Darth Maul, he goes to create a new crime syndicate called Crimson Dawn. You also saw them in Solo, A Star Wars Story. Also during this time, he tracks down the man who killed him the first time, Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. Obi-Wan kills him a second time. So, all right.
Yeah, just for real this time. Die.
Stay dead, Darth Maul. Anyway, back on Mandalore, everything's peachy keen. They don't have the Darksaber anymore, but it's peachy keen. The good guys have taken control of the planet again. When what happens? The Republic, which they joined and pledged to join, has become an empire. And so what happens on the planet Mandalore? Another civil war breaks out between the people who are pro-empire and the people who are anti-empire. Long story short, this character from Star Wars Rebels, named Sabine Wren, goes to Darth Maul's homeworld and retrieves the Darksaber. Sabine gives the Darksaber to her sister, a character known as Bo-Katan, who she believes can unite the Mandalorians against the Empire. So that's the backstory of this blade, but that's all we know about it. So it was in the hand of this character, Bo-Katan, who was a good guy, reformed good guy, I guess is the way I'd put it, who's going to unite Mandalore against the Empire. Now jump to this show. And what you can guess happened is that, guess what? They didn't win. The Empire came in, wiped them all out in this great purge, which we keep hearing about. And now we see this Darksaber in Moff Gideon's hands. Oh, people who are fans of these cartoons, and I have to be honest, I had to steal a lot of this from Wikipedia. I kind of had seen some of these episodes with the Darksaber, but I'm not a completionist on these cartoons. And anyway, these cartoons are really meant for kids as opposed to us old adults. So that's the story of the Darksaber. Is it possibly hinting that Moff Gideon himself has some Force capabilities? Is it hinting that one of the reasons why he wants Baby Yoda, who we know has Force powers, is because he wants to extract some of those Force powers, possibly some of those midichlorians, and give it to himself so he can wield it like a Sith or a Jedi? Who knows? Do you have any ideas, Catfish? What do you think?
Well, I noted myself about 3 or 4 times during this episode where I could easily see Baby Yoda turn to the dark side. Baby Yoda took a lot of delight in roasting fools. Not sweet and innocent. It doesn't take much from like innocent, childlike joy to turn into a devilish enjoyment of killing suckers. And
We
Baby
can only hope
Yoda's-
for season 2.
Baby Yoda is so close to going to the dark side, it's not even funny. I didn't know any of that history, so obviously the dark saber didn't do that much for me. I will say this though, now that we're on kind of an overriding thing here, and as we all know, I often step into it. I step in it, showing my ignorance of all things during any of the Double P podcasts. So, at risk of doing that again,
Yeah.
can you explain to me why there seemed to be a sense in this show that the Jedi were the bad guys?
Great question. So that goes back to the armorer talking about how there was a group of wizards named the Jedi who we fought against. All of that, most of that information is what they now call legends, meaning way back after Return of the Jedi, in the early 90s, Lucasfilm started allowing people to kind of write stories and do things in the Star Wars universe. And a bunch of these stories were written, and because everybody loved the Boba Fett armor, and Jango Fett hadn't even been introduced, a lot of this stuff was, like thousands of years ago. The Jedi and the Mandalore fought, yada, yada, yada. Disney, when they came in and they had an unwieldy canon, Disney came in and said, okay, all that stuff is now, quote unquote, legend. Everything we create from this point forward will have continuity, because the old stories wouldn't have continuity. Authors would contradict things that had happened. Disney said, okay, enough of that. Old expanded universe, books and materials. This is the new canon going forward. So there isn't really much history that is now, quote unquote, canon about the Jedi and the Mandalorians fighting, but yeah, they do, because our heroes side with Mandalore. Anybody who fights them, even if it was hundreds of years ago, we're going to be like, who are these jerks?
Okay, so I'm not missing something. They really were slagging off. They're really saying, well, I hope Baby Yoda's not a Jedi, and the woman was like, maybe he won't turn out to be a Jedi, but it doesn't matter. You got to take care of him. Even if he does turn out to be an evil, evil Jedi.
If she had ever said anything that Mando didn't agree with, he should have just said, hey, I got an idea. Let's arm wrestle. And then Baby Yoda takes
You just needed Quill there.
Oh, R.I.P. Too soon.
I have spoken.
Hey, you ready to jump back to the beginning of this episode, Catfish?
Yeah, let's circle around back to the front again.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I was wondering about, just sort of in general, I enjoyed the hell out of it. 10 plus 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 for the opening jokey scene. A lot of funny things happened in it. I dug it all together. My only question was I put down, is this scene too funny?
Well, we should point out this episode in particular was directed by Taika Waititi, the voice of IG-11, the director who made Thor Ragnarok. And this humor...
And also played one of the funniest characters in Thor Ragnarok.
Right, no, he did. That's correct. And this humor, to me, really felt like his humor. Like he was like, okay, here's a scene, here's an episode I've been given that was written by Jon Favreau. Because it's the end of the season and it's so serious what's happening, I couldn't put many jokes in. So here's my version of like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, kind of in silly 3.5-minute scene between two scout troopers voiced by Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally.
Now, I had to wait until the end to figure out that it was Adam Pally, but it didn't take me long to realize it was Jason Sudeikis. And so as soon as you have... you cast Jason Sudeikis. I can't remember whether it was you, Bubba, or one of our listeners who were saying, let's get Catfish on this show. Mm-hmm. This is the level. We have Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally, not even their faces in this episode, doing very funny bits. I think it was written funny. I mean, they're like smacking Yoda, which means, of course, they have to die horribly. There is a funny line. What does Moff want with it? I don't know. Maybe Moff wants to eat it. I love that they show how bad they are at shooting. I mean, this is so completely reinforced, everything, as if it isn't reinforced later on in the episode. I mean, at least they do it. They make a funny lean into it here.
Now, hold on.
Yeah.
You are mentioning so much fun of this first part, and I'll be honest,
Love it.
I wasn't enthralled with this first bit. I actually I knew Jason Sudeikis for a time way back. We were both at Improv Olympic doing improv back in Chicago.
You're still holding some anger at him.
Okay, total aside. Jason Sudeikis back then, because he wasn't famous, hadn't even been on SNL yet. He was pretty much famous for being George Wendt's nephew. For all our listeners, who pretty much everybody, who is George Wendt? Well, he was another improv Second City guy from Chicago who was on a popular sitcom from the 80s called Cheers, and he was very, very famous in his day.
And we actually saw him live a few years ago, Bubba.
That's exactly right. Yes, tell him.
Well, it was a live staging of Reanimator. Was it a musical? Did they sing? Was it Reanimator the musical? It was Reanimator the musical, and George Wendt was in it. I don't know if it was a favor or whatever, but he was playing the lead actress's father.
It's straight from Cheers to Reanimator the musical.
Oh, man. It was so good. And then, come on, there's another funny line in here. He just killed someone for interrupting him. I mean, them kind of waiting around while Moff vents his anger. I thought that was hilarious. Again, I did right at the end, was this scene too jokey? But I loved every single joke. I loved that Twota bit him.
I love that too, yeah. And I love that he punched him back. I mean, I hate it. And I've seen people online saying, how could I enjoy an episode where Baby Yoda got punched 3 times?
Well, those people, they deserve their horrific death. It was
they
a little,
sure did.
It is funny. I think I can see people losing the humor in it when, we have Yoda being hit. I mean, everyone loves Yoda. So I can honestly see how that took too much out of it. Maybe if it had been just like, they should have maybe just done a flick. I really can see how people would stop them from enjoying that scene. Because if anybody touches an old gray hair on Baby Twota's head, they deserve to go down hard.
And they did go down hard. So I said I had a bit of trouble with this. I did laugh at Baby Yoda biting Adam Pally. But then when IG-11 comes and he takes them out so brutally, I loved it. So once again, these action scenes, I was through the moon for. Loved it.
So good. I loved it. And I also loved, jumping forward a little bit, when we're talking about IG-11, the initial confusion about what IG-11's prime directive was, especially by the Mandalorian. I mean, that's the one thing I kind of didn't buy in this episode, was the Mandalorian's arc vis-a-vis droids, IG-11 in particular. Still, I love that bit. And then we get to the town, and that's where I started having questions about why doesn't Moff just blast the whole place? I mean, he killed a whole bunch of stormtroopers.
His own people.
Guys.
Yeah.
His own guys. But then he sets up the E-Web.
The E-Web. E-Web, now on sale from Microsoft.
Right, and he gives them a strange deadline. Moff doesn't seem like the kind of guy that gives, 6-hour deadlines.
Hold on, you don't remember Greef's line from last week? The sun sets quickly on Navarro.
Well, I guess I should have remembered that. He still seems like the kind of guy to give more you got 5 minutes.
Yeah, come on.
But, like I said, he's a big old name dropper. He's given histories. He's like, and your blood type is B positive. You had measles when you were 13. I mean, he's got all the medical records. He's got everything on all of them.
Oh, yeah. Now, hold on, Catfish. I want to point out that the E-Web, the gun they set up, was first seen in Empire Strikes Back. The bad guy snowtroopers and Darth Vader were